Hello and good week. We are in the portion of Pinchas, and the portion of Pinchas, as you will see, is combined of, I think, two important things that we will have to look about. First, obviously, the characteristics of the Pinchas, the person, because he's extremely important one, and I think also the most intriguing from all the for most of the characteristics in the Bible. And second of all, we have continuation of leadership or transformation of roles from one person to the other, from one man who's holding a duty to the other. We will talk about this, but also we have in Pinchas portion. Pinchas portion, in a way, you will see that it gives us a second chance to conduct something that we tried to conduct before unsuccessfully, but this time we will do it with new powers and inner strength and passion. The portion is actually continuing the last portion of last week, after Balak and Bilam tried to curse the children of Israel, and each and every time couldn't succeed in doing this. They every time they wanted to say a curse, there was a blessing, and the king of Moab, Balak, was extremely annoyed by this thing. He was angry at Bilam, the brilliant sorcerer that he brought in order to conduct this thing. Bilam then gave him a tip of the wicked. He gave him a tip saying, okay, so maybe we couldn't really curse the children of Israel, but the thing is that I know exactly what the God of the children of Israel cannot stand. The thing that he is just unforgiving about. The thing that if we were able to make the children of Israel do that, then we're going to have an extreme something that will happen. Their God will be angry at them, and then their God will kill them and curse them himself. And so that this is what they did. The thing that the God of the children of Israel hates the most, Bilam said to Balak, is idolatry, is idol worship, is when his children, the children of the Creator, the children of Hashem, the divine source, are working in their worship other gods. They're working to gods that are not him. He hates it. He cannot stand this, and this is your ticket in if you want to do some harm to those nation of the children of Israel. So Balak does this thing. He brings all the women of Moab and Midian. Remember those two parts, those two nation enemies now making peace in order to harm the third party, which is the children of Israel. And they're actually the women of the Midian and Moab are going to seduce the men of the nation of Israel, and they are succeeding, because we then see at the end of the Balak portion that one of the most extreme honored people in the tribe of Shimon took a Midianic woman. Commentators said she was even a princess, a Midianic princess. He took her into the tent, making idolatry before the eyes of Moshe and before the eyes of the holy congregation, while they are weeping in front of the tent of meeting. So there is an unprehensible scene here of that everybody sees it, but nobody does anything about this except Pinchas. Pinchas, when he sees this idolatry is happening in front of the tent of meeting and in front of the children of Israel, and he sees that the name of the honored Hashem, the honored Creator, is violated, he's not standing still. He's taking a spear and he goes after those two people, after Zimri, Ben Salu v'Kozvi Batzur. Those were their names, the Israeli and the Midianic woman, and he just killed them, to take the spear right through their stomach and kill them both. So here we have a man who took things into his own hands and acted in an extreme manner. Pinchas executed both of those people, and we need though to understand that this act that he did was involved in self-sacrifice and extreme courage, because he killed two people in front of everybody. And what does he receive? What does he receive from Hashem? God grants him with the covenant of peace. For he turned the wrath away from the children of Israel, the wrath of God away from the children of Israel, by doing this thing, by being zealously to the honor of Hashem. So he's rewarded on a killing act. This is, strangely enough, we all know that he receives to be a priest. He is not a priest by nature, but he receives from Hashem a promise for him and his descendants after him to become priests from now until the end of times. And strangely enough, we all know that priesthood cannot be attained through man's endeavours. It is not at all depends on spiritual accomplishments, and even more so, a priest, all his idea is to keep the peace, to be a loving, kind, and sharing person, maintaining the peace among the nation, maintaining the peace among the people. And here we have a person that just killed two people, and he received grants from Hashem, the gift of priesthood for him and his the generations to come. So what is so special about what Pinchas did? What is so special about this kind of zealously? First of all, we need to understand that Hashem cannot stand when the children of Israel idol worship other gods. So in a way, when the children of Israel do such a thing, then also the midah, the measurements of Hashem, that is a parallel to this, also rises up from her place, because they are doing, it's like Hashem is in the Zohar, it's all the time written that Hashem is like the husband and the children of Israel are the wife. And so when the wife is making an adultery act, then the husband cannot stand it, then the husband will act accordingly. And then there is a place where the husband, Hashem, is actually furious and full with negative energy towards his people, towards his children. And when we see Pinchas is doing his act in front of everybody, in front of Hashem, to maintain what's left from Hashem's honor on this occasion, then we are seeing a person that he didn't concern the danger for him or for his life. He was willing to risk everything. He was willing to, it was self-sacrifice what he did there. It was an extreme courage. And so Pinchas did not consider the danger for himself. He was concerned, what concerned him during this process was not him, was the spiritual danger that the children of Israel were at by this idolatry thing. And he was willing to risk all he had, all his life, in order to stop this thing. So Pinchas is a remarkable example for a selfless individual, for a person who concerned only about the relationship of Hashem and his children, and not taking ego as something that he needs to respond to. So as it appears, when a person makes a genuine commitment concerning a divine relationship between God and his people, the inner godly spark wakes up in every part of us, and which is not confined by nature, enabling him to do things that are beyond nature, beyond his nature. And similarly, such an approach evokes an unbounded response from God. For when a man goes beyond the abilities of his natural limits, or in his divine service, then Hashem gives reward that will not be confined by nature. He gives a huge reward for that. Pinchas was granted the status of a priest, even though he was not one to begin with. So usually it's extremely difficult and even almost impossible to distinguish our own personal sentiment um, from those necessary on the behalf of the pure cause. True. So for Pinchas to have been able to reach this and this level of holiness, this level of divine um, power, a pure extension of God's will, this is something only few can achieve. So Pinchas have been able to reach this level must have been an extremely special person even before entering the picture. And as we will see, he was, because in the Zohar, if we look through the Zohar scriptures, and it's not only in this portion, there are other portions speaks about Pinchas, then we see that Pinchas, in order to really appreciate who he is, we have to appreciate who he was, because Pinchas is one of the most intriguing characteristics in the Bible to my I think, because as you will see, he is endless, he is timeless figure. His figure is going and coming and going and coming. He's a very special thing when it comes to characteristics, that a characteristic that is in us. The Zohar gives us the information about the complexity of the soul of Pinchas. Pinchas' soul is combined out of two sparks of soul to begin with: the soul of Yosef, the son of Jacob, and the soul of Yitro, the high priest of Midian, which converted to Judaism after he heard what happened in Egypt and came to Mount Sinai before they received the Torah. So to begin with, we have here the complexity of the soul. Pinchas' soul, except from his soul, he has two drops. The son of Potiel commanded to recite Tipin. Tipin in Hebrew it's drops, and he had two drops of soul in his divine soul: the drop of Yosef, the righteous, and the drop of Yitro, the high priest of Midian. Those were the inner light of the first man in Olam Atzilut, in the world of Atzilut. I will not go inside those things, but very, very, very high ranked drops of souls this guy had inside of him. And then when he killed Zimri and Kozvi, he merited the souls of Nadav and Avihu. Another two souls. Remember, Nadav and Avihu were Aaron the priest's children, his eldest sons, that brought the unauthorized incense offering to Hashem right after, on the first day of the celebration, after they finished building the Mishkan, the tent of meeting, and they were Kohanim, and they've been burned by the Hashem because bringing their unauthorized incense offering. And then Pinchas, when he killed Zimri ben Saru v'Kozvi Batzur, he then merited those two sparks of soul in him, and therefore he was then received the covenant of peace. So just as Nadav and Avihu, the dead children of Aaron the priest, they brought the foreign fire in front of Hashem, and they did it as an act that came from an inner power, an extreme belief, an inner power of extreme faith, that to serve Hashem in an even more beautiful way than even Hashem wanted. That was the reason why they were killed, because Hashem didn't ask them to bring this, and they decided they want to because they had this inner passion. And also Pinchas, in this portion, by doing this thing that he does, he's acting out of inner passion inside him, something that he's not required to, nobody asked him to, but he wants to do this. He goes beyond what is requested of him, just as they went beyond what is requested from them. And so they died on the spot, Nadav and Avihu, and both their souls later on entered to Pinchas' soul, giving him the flame of passion to be an extreme server of Hashem, and doing this extreme act he just did in order to to bring back the wrath of God from the children of Israel. In fact, it was more crowded than only that in Pinchas' inner soul, because now we know that Pinchas had Yosef, Yitro, Nadav, Avihu, and also the Zohar mentioned the fifth element of Pinchas' soul, which is Eliyahu, the prophet, Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu, the Zohar identifies Pinchas with Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu, the same one he went in windstorm back into heaven, the same one that made uncountless miracles to the children of Israel, the same one that we call upon the Seder at the end of it when we say Shlach Chamatcha, send your wrath among the nation. This is the Eliyahu, the prophet characteristic, which we can see here also as Pinchas characteristics. This characteristic, this figure of Pinchas, Eliyahu, Nadav, Avihu, we see all those figures together. Also Yosef, who was so zealously to the belief of God that the Potiphar wife couldn't, the most beautiful woman in the world, couldn't make him do an adultery. This person received upon himself to deal with all the economic matter of Egypt. Yitro was the high priest of all the nations that are outside Israel, that the only one that was converting himself to Judaism, because he didn't listen to all the rest, because he had his own state of mind. He decided that he wants to believe in the God of Israel after what he sees and after what he heard and after what happened, and he didn't consider everybody else. He just did what he wanted to do. And this is what we have in Yitro, this is what we have in Yosef, this is what we have in Nadav and Avihu, and this is what we have in Eliyahu. So Pinchas is Eliyahu. And this man then takes Romach. He takes Romach, it's a spear, it's the Romach, it's Reish Mem Chet, it's 3 letters in Hebrew that combines to make this weapon that he used. And this weapon by the Zohar, when we talk about Romach, we are talking about the number of organs a person possesses in his own body. We have Ramach Evarim, V'Shasa Gidim. So we have the Romach. Also, there is a beautiful story there about how Pinchas saw the letter M flying in the air and he wanted to catch her before the angel of death will catch her. And then the minute he catched her, then he could have killed them, Zimri ben Saru v'Kozvi Batzur, instead of more people of Israel to being killed. So we see here that this man took everything he had, all the organs that he had, all the organs that we have, and just make an extreme act of returning the love of Hashem towards his son and returning the love of the sons toward Hashem. So Pinchas is Eliyahu, he is the chosen of chosen, you can say. And it is not always easy to say, but truth is that Israel's national future depends on zealousy, commitment to maintain our heritage, because we are in a situation where we are constantly interfered by other cultures, other nations, other beliefs, other things that are occupying our mind. But zealousy is something that is, or that to be envy to Hashem as a wife of Hashem is something that is really, really important for us. But this commitment needs to always be tempered by warmth and loving outreach, which will branch others to discover the Jewish sparks within themselves. So if we go back to Pinchas, he was personally responsible for the removal of a plague that took 24,000 people from the children of Israel. He did what he did out of self-sacrifice notion and extreme courage, and an extreme passion to restore the love between the husband and the wife, Hashem and his people. The inner devotion to the master of the universe comes out from a supreme, borderless, unceasing source that brings its subject to perfection. Pinchas indeed reached this level of perfection, but there is a Pinchas inside of every one of us. And in this week, we need to aspire to reach the level of Pinchas and to be attached to Hashem, that any violation of his name or his honor will be will then act as an act of fanaticism by us. This fanaticism is correct and appreciated. Don't kill anybody, but under the right circumstances, not out of desire to go after violent impulses, but out of a desire of holy feeling, of divinity, of feeling of wanted to worship the right God, our God, the true God. And so we see here also with the Romach, with the weapon that Pinchas uses that has 248 parts, like the organs of all the person. We have here forces, movements that are working inside the human psyche. And we also, if we will look at this portion in a bigger picture, we have here the Moshe is transferring the leadership to Yoshua bin Nun. Nadav and Avihu are transformed to the character of Pinchas. We have also the story of the daughter of Tzlofchat who was killed in the desert. His daughter, he had 5 daughters, and they wanted to have a piece of land in the land of Israel. So they asked his father. They asked Moshe to ask Hashem what to do with them, and Hashem is telling him, yeah, those girls needs to inherit their father place, their fatherland. And so we have here a lot of also we have Elazar, the priest, who is starting to do his father work as high priest to the nation of Israel. So we have here all along this Israeli and also we have here the country is divided to the tribes of the Israel according to fate. So here is also the country that used to be the country of the nation, the 7 nations, now is returning to its original owners, the sons of the children of Israel. So all through this portion, we can see a shift from one person to the other in duty, from one person to the other in spirit, from one person to the other in inherit. And we will then need to address this in this week by maybe changing our perspective, maybe doing something a bit differently, maybe understanding that we can't hold to our horses so hard. We need to maybe try a different approach, try another vantage point maybe. It's a very interesting portion, and Pinchas is one of the most intriguing characteristics in the Bible, I think, and he is now, the forces of Pinchas are activated in this portion. So make this portion meaningful, make this portion something that will move you forwards with more passion, with extreme powers, with more courage, and with the duty of being the right servers to the divine and Hashem. Have Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for being here.